A 1.5-inch scale Allchin Royal Chester traction engine renovation. Part 3, more basic cleaning and removing the rear wheels. I know that in the last episode I did say that I was just going to show one side of the wheel cleaning, but because both of the rear wheels are different in the way they are mounted, for a bit of extra information I really need to show the removal of the wheel at the other side, because the way the other rear wheel attaches to the engine is quite different. A while back I was making a video and I mentioned the dimension of 3.125 when I really meant 0.3125. And for the one viewer who wrote to me to point this obvious mistake out, I do apologise and I will try harder next time. Similarly, other E-Glide viewers may have noticed that this is not a rear wheel, but this one is, and it's currently being cleaned with a paintbrush with my special solution at 4 times normal speed. I mentioned the components in the liquid in the previous episode and the reason for using a soft pastry brush to clean the parts. If I get this wrong and further damage the paintwork on the wheels, as well as the paintwork on the body of the engine, that would be a severe problem because I am not capable of doing a lining job like you see on this engine. It's interesting to watch this back as I'm voicing it over. Every time I cleaned around the 2 hooks on the side of the bunker which hold the water lifter pipe, I completely missed cleaning the bottom part of one of the hooks. This doesn't matter at the moment, I will get it later. What is important is to clean all of the dirt off the traction engine because I don't know where it's been. It could have been stored in some old shed for quite a long time and have mouse droppings or even worse, rat droppings in it. And that's why before starting work on certain things, I will do a preliminary clean. Time now to remove the first of the wheels. By removing the retaining caps. These are painted black, the ones on my engine are polished brass, and surprisingly they have a very important function. They are not there just for fancy. These hubcaps are normally held in place by nuts on studs, but in this case so far 2 of the studs have come out as well as the nuts. The 3rd nut came off the stud and left it in place, but when I touched the 4th one the whole thing was loose. Have a look at this. When this engine was built, it looks like one of the nuts sheared off, which is not surprising because these studs are very small. 7 or even maybe 8 BA, very small indeed. And breaking taps in holes of this size or shearing off studs in holes of this size is very easy to do. I speak from experience. I've always thought that the way traction engine wheels are held onto the axle is a very simple and very clever way of doing it. It's just a collar and a pin. On my large traction engine, the hole is tapered with a taper pin, but in this case the hole is just parallel, with a pin through it. You will notice that the collar and the axle are marked with 2 dots, to show which collar fits which axle. Once I removed the pin, all I then needed to do was remove the collar and slide the wheel off. You have to remember that there's very little stress on this component. The main drive to the wheels is by pins which fit in the driving block, and that is keyed to the axle, and so all the pressure and stress is taken by the driving pins, not the collar on the end of the axle. Here you can see how the driving pins fit, and on this wheel they are not removable, but on the other wheel they are removable to allow operation of the winch which is behind the other wheel. With the wheel removed I can clean behind it, once again using my solution of soap, alcohol and a little bit of carbusonic cleaner, and once again my pastry brush removes the dirt but doesn't damage the paintwork. A good way to clean the gears is to run the engine, whilst holding the pastry brush against the gears as they rotate. If the gears were to grab the brush, the engine would stop because it's running on very low pressure. This just seems to be a very quick and simple way of cleaning the gears while they rotate. The fun soon comes to an end and I'm cleaning the bodywork, if that's the right term. The side of the bunker tank is very dirty. The bunker's now looking a lot cleaner, apart from the bit that I keep missing. I thought it was a good idea to slide off the driving block from the axle and put it somewhere safe. Once again, I'm giving this wheel a detailed preliminary clean. What I'll be doing in the next episode is transferring these into the kitchen sink. But for now, I'm just getting the thick of the dirt off. If you look at this image, you will see that the paint is quite badly damaged in places, and there will be one future episode at least showing the repairs to the paintwork. In this clip I'm showing how the hubcap holds the pin in place so the collar can't fall off and in turn the wheel can't fall off. Very simple, very clever. I'm only showing this again because it's a really clever idea. In this clip you can clearly see the key in the axle, which drives the part that turns the wheel via the two pins. This hole that you can see in the main boiler, not to be confused with all the plating around the boiler which is steel, is where the blowdown valve fits. This is to blow down the boiler after a run to get rid of all the limescale and rubbish from between the inner and outer firebox of the boiler. And this is quite incredible. It is a working blowdown valve. I thought at first it was a dummy, but it's not. The stainless steel end part screws out to drain the water. My large traction engine has one of these, and I actually use that to fill the boiler with a hosepipe. But to get water into this boiler, there is a removable plug near the cylinder at the front on the top. Before refitting this part, I'm going to remove the black paint and give it a bit of a polish. That should look good. For now though, it's going into my plastic box with the rest of the parts. This clip shows the wheel sat on the bench after a quick preliminary clean. Now it's time to move to the wheel at the other side, which means I have to turn the traction engine around. And after working on my big showman's engine, believe me, this is so easy to work on. I just physically lifted it off the bench, rotated it and put it back down again. And you can see that at this side the hubcap is slightly different to the other side, and there are two pins that are removable. To extract the pins you need to remove two flat split pins, and it's impossible to take off the hubcap until these are removed. So here we go, split pin number 1 out of the way. Now I can withdraw drive pin number 1, closely followed by drive pin number 2, followed of course by the hubcap. Removal of the hubcap reveals another collar on the axle at this side with a pin through it, and on the axle as well as the collar is one dot at this side, as opposed to two dots at the other side, so I can't get them mixed up. I gave this other wheel a preliminary clean, and now they're both on the bench ready to transfer into the kitchen sink. A lot of traction engines were fitted with winch drums on the main driving axle to the wheel. Specialist ploughing engines had the winch drum underneath the boiler in a horizontal plane. Behind this winch drum is a differential gear system. Similar to a car or lorry, it's to allow the engine to go around corners. And also, if you withdraw the two drive pins from the wheel, then chock the other driving wheel to stop that from revolving and moving the engine, you turn the entire machine into a winch, which is yet another clever idea. I need to find some way of getting grease into this. I'll look at that in due course. That is it. Both of the wheels are removed, ready for cleaning. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.